Hi, my name is Amanda, and I blog at The Life and Times of Julian and Amanda. You can find the link to the blog in the description below, and this podcast is part of Yarn Along, which is an opportunity that we have every Wednesday to come online and do a linky party at Small Things blog with Jenny to share what we're knitting and reading each week. So definitely check that out. There have been about 100 contributors each week for the last several weeks, so lots to see and read and do there. So check that out. All of the links to information that I'm talking about, yarns that I'm talking about, patterns that I'm talking about, people I'm talking about, are going to be on the blog post that goes with this podcast video. So if you're finding me on YouTube, definitely go back to the blog for all of the details there. First things first, thank you for all of your encouragement and kind words from the previous podcast. It was a lot of fun. There's so much going on in my head just in between podcasts to think, I'm going to share this, or I need to ask that, or so much going on that is share-worthy, and I'm just thrilled that you guys want to listen to what I have to say. So not going to get this done in any less than 20 minutes. So grab a cup of tea, grab your knitting, and join along. In keeping with my themes from last time, I want to do a little follow-up from last time. I want to talk about what's on the needles and how I lied. Talk about what's in the queue, a couple of off-topic topics, which makes them on topic, and then a little bit of a teaser for what we're going to talk about next week. I finished the bandana cowl, the Pearl Soho bandana cowl in the Classic Elite yarn. It has not been blocked yet, but when I get it blocked, I'll be certain to bring it back and show it to you. I have also finished one fingerless mitten. The class that I was going to teach on the Intro to Double Point Needles did not happen because I did not know that the gals who were coming were all carpooling together, and the one who was in charge of driving lost her puppy, or let her puppy get loose that morning, and she spent the morning looking for the puppy instead of coming to knitting class and bringing the other knitters with her. So there was no knitting class, but I got a mitt in the meantime. So as you can expect, the other fingerless mitt is on the needles right now. This is the zip mitts pattern. This is the second time I've made it. I'm going to make it so many more times because it is very simple, very easy. And as you can see, it's kind of a blank slate. So you could very easily add a cable, add any kind of design you wanted. You could add color work. What is nice about this pattern and why I've chosen it over others is the fun little gusset here has some purl stitches to it as well that makes it interesting. I have modified the pattern from this. I did not add as many stitches as the pattern says to add in the gusset. I just kept it back by 2, and I found that that works perfectly. So that is what it is. Many more of those to come. What I lied about last week, 2 things. One is that I told you the only thing that was on my needles last week was the bandana cowl, and that was wrong. This guy is a tea cozy, is supposed to be a tea cozy. Not a tea cozy yet. Teapot cozy. I sent this pattern to a friend on Pinterest in jest, and she loved it. She does not have a teapot that can wear a tea cozy, and she said, if you make that for me, I will buy a teapot. I said I can't make it if I don't know the dimensions, and so we agreed that I would make it to fit my teapot, because we both know that she can buy a teapot just like my teapot in Morgantown. So if it fits my teapot, it'll fit her teapot that she purchases to fit it. Genius. My problem with it now and why it's stalled, I did all of this in one football game a couple of weeks back, but I've stalled because it's too big. I need to rip it back and just not increase in some of the places where it says to increase, and I think it'll be fine. Knitting the eyeballs for the snail is kind of stressing me out because it's eyeballs, and I don't like that idea. But I'm going to have to really bite the bullet on that when that time comes to knit the eyeballs. There's just something about it that weirds me out. I think it's the double point needles, because it is so counterintuitive for eyeballs and double point needles to be in the same place at the same time. And so the concept of knitting eyeballs with double point needles is really setting me back. Anyhow, that's the Snail Tea Cozy. I am thrilled. This is a crazy mess, forgive me. I am thrilled to finally get to use this super fun hand-dyed yarn. It's the only yarn I've ever dyed. I did it on a whim. I used food coloring. It came out beautifully, and I will link to my blog post from years ago about making this yarn. I'm tickled pink to finally have a project that's worthy of the really crazy hand-dyed roving. Next up is this guy. I'm going to be very delicate with him and not show him to you, because when I picked him up earlier I realized some of my stitches are falling off because I've got my double point needles really overloaded. This is the Jane hat that I'm knitting for my brother-in-law for Christmas. It's really wonky right now, and it's coming out really huge, which I'm nervous about. But my husband just keeps saying, it's okay, his head is bigger than your head. Dudes have bigger heads, right? It doesn't really have a lot of shape at the bottom, and it's not making me happy, but it's a breeze to knit, and so I don't know if I need to go back and work on that rib a little more, or if it'll all come good in the wash. I need to measure the circumference of it. I haven't gotten around to that yet, but here's the orange part, and then the top is yellow, and it has a multicolor pom-pom, and then these red ear flaps that come down at the bottom. Just between you and me, I'm not actually going to see my brother-in-law for Christmas until New Year's Day. So I'm going to set that project aside once I pick up the stitches that are falling off and can set it aside safely, to finish in that week between Christmas and New Year's. And life will be a little calmer. Life will be a little quieter, I hope, maybe. And so that's not going to see much progress on that. Last week I talked a little bit about this apricot yarn from my stash. It's cotton. I told you it's bulky. It's not. It's one step down from bulky, which I discovered when I Googled it. I was thinking about doing a mama vertebrae in it. Then I had a great conversation with one of my childhood friends who also knits. She is expecting her first baby any day now. And I said to her, well, I shared the yarn along link, and I said, hey, you should poke around this website. It's really a lot of fun. And asked her if she's had a chance to knit for baby where she stands. And she said she actually hadn't had a chance to knit because of all of her Christmas knits. And that's the second place I lied in my podcast 2 weeks ago, because I told you that I just wasn't going to do a lot of Christmas knits, gift knits this year, because I didn't want to be stressed and I didn't want to have the deadline. Well, that went out the window. So when I chatted with her, she said she was busy with her Christmas knits and hadn't been able to knit a bunch for the baby. She'd gotten one sweater done and a blanket, but that she was hoping for another sweater and a hat, or at least a hat. And so I thought, aha, perfect. I've got this cotton yarn in what I'm telling myself is a gender-neutral colorway. I'm telling myself that if it's a boy, she doesn't know yet, if it's a boy, it's orange. And if it's a girl, it's peach, and that's okay. So it was cotton, it was in my stash, I was inspired in the blink of an eye, and I've cast on. I'm going with it. It's got a little rolled collar. I've not made it very far. I made it down to the shoulders. Didn't like how the raglan sleeve was laying, and I ripped it back. So now I'm at it again. I will post a link to the pattern below. The pattern is not written well. It's confusing. So it's only but so confusing if you know the basics of a raglan sleeve. But the repeats are a little wonky. So I drew out a chart for myself based on the pattern, and when I get going on this, we're just going to truck right along because it's easy peasy. So that is exciting. I don't generally do baby knits because I don't have any babies of my own to knit for, and you never know who's going to cherish a hand knit. And so I feel like I've not had the opportunity of the perfect person and the perfect baby in the time that I have to knit. And so this season of life is good for me to knit. So it's all just kind of come together, and I'm liking it, and I'm running with it. So that's the baby sweater out of the Mirasol Happy apricot colorway, which is a mess because I had to pull it back. That is all for what is on the needles. That is not all. That is not all. Precious, precious project. So I have a friend, dear friend from college, who's got a 20-month-old, I want to say. She sends me a picture of her, and she's got Mama's scarf wrapped around her shoulders down to her elbow, neck to elbow, wrapped around her shoulders and bundled up like this. And the caption to the picture was, I think we've got a little lady on our hands. How does she know? I mean, how does an 18-month-old, 20-month-old know, fashion sense for shawl wearing? But of course it's because she sees her mom, and so I thought she needs a shawl. She needs a little BB shawl. And so I found this pattern online on Ravelry for the Emerald City Shawlette. It's darling. It's easy. It clicks along like a dream. You can see here that it's got a very basic eyelet. The body of the shawl is a very basic eyelet. And I'm just plugging along, knitting, purling, yarn overing every now and again. This has been my bedside project that I add a couple of rows to each night. This yarn has been in my stash. This yarn has been in my stash for years. I got it on clearance. It was $2. It's Lion brand amazing yarn. And I generally do not like to purchase yarns with artificial fibers in them. I like it to be all silk, cotton, wool. This is the exception that I make because the colors are so amazing and it feels like a yarn shop yarn, but it's a box store yarn. It still had the price tag on it. It lost its paper sleeve, and so they just chucked it in the clearance bin for $2. The colorway is Mauna Loa, I think. It just works up so beautifully that you can have the easiest pattern on earth, and the yarn does all the work for you. It makes such an impressive project. I also have some of this that I have knit and frogged and knit and frogged and knit and frogged for my mother-in-law's gift for Christmas 4 years ago, 2 years ago. And this is inspiring me to frog again and knit again. The original pattern is knit with 2 strands of worsted weight yarn and a 10 needle. In order to get a little shawlette for a little girl, I have gone down to a size 8 needle and I'm using just 1 strand of yarn. In the event that it's not quite big enough because I have downsized, I'm just going to keep repeating with the eyelet and then pick up about 3 inches of more complicated lace work eyelet on the bottom, and it has a little scalloped edge to it when it's finished. I just couldn't be happier with that project. Now, on the note of sweet little girl and her shawl wearing, it just occurred to me when I was thinking about this project this morning that I made her a Maggie Rabbit when she was born, and she has a Maggie Rabbit with a little shawl. And so I'm wondering if she's processing at 20 months old, this is knit, this goes around me like this and ties just so, and isn't it darling? So that just made me so happy to think about sweet little Evie wearing her sweet little shawl that I'm going to make for her. Also, on the same note of that amazing yarn, that brings me to what's in the queue and dealing with my stash. Last podcast, we talked about this sock yarn, which I only have 1 ball of. And I love it, but I don't know what to do with it. It is 50 grams equals 166 yards. I don't know if it's enough to do an entire Emerald City shawlette, but maybe it's just enough to get me into a little shawlette mini shawlette. Because the grown-up version does call for 2 strands of yarn, I went straight to my closet and pulled out this cowl, which I knit on a loom, on a little peg loom years ago, and I am in love with the color. It's in the amazing yarn. The colorway is roses. I love the yarn, I love the texture, I love the colors, but I never wear it because when it is bundled up, it's so poofy. I always feel like it gets where I'm going faster than I do. And I know that that's probably just a figment of my imagination, but with this in hand and the Emerald City shawlette pattern, this is going to get frogged, and then this is going to be my accompaniment to that to make myself a shawlette. A little more grown up, a little more, hey, I actually know how to knit now, instead of just making do with the loom. That's what's coming down the pike in the queue. I'm making myself not work on it until after New Year's to try to keep myself focused on all that gift knitting I said I wasn't going to do. Now, let's move to the off-topic topics. They're not specifically knitting, well, they are. They are specifically knitting related, sort of. It's not what I'm knitting now. This thing is a piece of PVC pipe. It's got a tiny little notch in it right there. It is 9 inches. I'll say 9 inches long. So I said to my husband, wow, honey, my life is completely changed forever because I went on Pinterest and found this technique for winding a center pull ball off of a toilet paper roll. This is incredible. And so I wound this little ball, no, I wound this big ball on a toilet paper roll and then threw my toilet paper roll away. Finished the bandana cowl, and I'm wandering around saying, why on earth didn't I keep that toilet paper roll? I have leftover yarn, and it's just in a heap. So he ran right downstairs, sawed off a piece of spare PVC, cut the notch in it just so, and now I knot off the end of my yarn, slide it down in there, easy peasy, and wind precious little balls of yarn that stay put just so. I'm trying to come up, I don't have any unruly yarn to demonstrate with. But when I frog this red, that's how I'm going to do it. Straight off the cowl onto the PVC. The PVC is infinitely superior because it's slippery. So when I wind it, it just hits it and then slides right up onto the ball to form this happy little spiral thing. It's exactly like a ball winder that makes a little cake of yarn. It's just in your hand, and this was free. So yeah, this little piece of PVC pipe, I highly recommend it. It's cleaned up life around here a lot. Speaking of cleaning up life around here a lot, and now I'm out of order. My sister asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I sent to her the pattern for the Pearl Soho drawstring bags. Simple drawstring bag. Easy drawstring bag, I think it might be called. Because I've just got these piles of projects heaped up. And I would love to have little drawstring bags, except I would rather knit than go downstairs and make myself some drawstring bags. So I'm going to try to talk her into doing it for me and calling it Christmas. So that's exciting. I'll have to keep you posted on that one. Last but not least, on the off-topic topics, I'm sending out a swap today. Donna, who I met through Yarn Along at Knit One Spin Two, had a swap that she hosted at the beginning of the month. She paired people up, gave them names. I was supposed to mail by yesterday, and I didn't because I'm naughty and overwhelmed. And I got a really great gal who loves red. I am not going to tell you who it is because she hasn't gotten her project yet. I mean, not project. She hasn't gotten her swap yet because I haven't put it in the mail yet because I'm going to go do that now. I made for her 2 little beaded stitch markers or row markers, however she prefers to use them. These beads are polymer clay beads, so they're super lightweight and not pulling any of your stitches down or any of your rows down. So those are delightful to use and even nicer to look at. So made those for her and pop them on this little card. Then also I'm going to send her some of our homemade, handmade, I'll say handmade because homemade sounds like cooking and it's not cooking. Stamped letterpress cards. They're blank inside. We used them for Christmas cards last year. We will make a new design for our Christmas cards this year. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I really love the idea of a Christmas goose. Sending her 5 of these stamped cards, a little note, and some of this Garn Freestyle that I am working with some extra freestyle to add to her stash. You never know what she might come up with to do with it. And then, yeah, I'm sorry, I got distracted. That's the yarn that I'm using to do the Jane hat, and I love it because it comes in a million different colors. When I went in to buy the yarn at the yarn barn, I said I need yellow, orange, and red in a superwash wool. Plain colors. I don't need it heathered. I don't need it hand-dyed. I don't need it fancy. Basic. And she said, well, I know just the thing, but do you want butter yellow or sunshine yellow or daffodil yellow? Do you want fire engine red? Do you want brick red? Do you want cherry red? Do you want blaze orange? Do you want pumpkin orange? Do you want orange orange? So I just love that it has a million different colors. And this is like a candy apple red that I just fell in love with. And so I bought two. One of them is getting rehomed in this fabulous swap. I'm going to throw in some kind of edible goodies and yumminess too, but I haven't quite sorted that out. I'm on my way to the post office after this, so I'll do that then. What we're going to talk about next week, speaking of my sister and lovely things that she's going to hopefully make for me, I want to share what I'm going to do for her Christmas, even though I've gone round and round and round about it. And then I want to share a little bit more about the Yarn Barn, which I've talked about twice, but not really in detail. And last but not least, tell you about a gal I met in the quilt shop, aka local yarn shop, who goes by Betty Kay, although she says Yarn. She's not from around here. So